Te Māori e te whānau. My name is Anna. For those of you I haven't met, and I have the privilege of sharing some reflections with you this morning. And something I have been reflecting on a lot recently is what it means for us to be part of the global church. In 1 Corinthians chapter 12, the Apostle Paul reminds us that we are Christ's body in the world, and that to be that body means that when one part suffers, we all suffer, and when one part rejoices, we all rejoice. And to be Christ's body in the world is not just to be this body in the sense of our congregations or our province, but actually to feel that connection to the wider body across the world, regardless of denomination, of language, of culture, of geography. And as I've been reflecting this week, I guess I've been struck by the extent to which that is actually true. Over this last few days, we've seen this explosion of righteous anger at the killing of Black Americans due to systemic violence, just the way that this system is structured in a way that perpetrates violence against Black people in America. And it is right to get angry at injustice. It is right to get angry at violence. And as Christ's body, we are invited to be part of doing something that stops this, at being part of dismantling that system. But in there somewhere, I have also been aware of how fickle my connection is to the rest of Christ's body in the majority of the world, that it is so easy for me to become engaged and righteously angry at things that are happening in places that I easily relate to, at places that I'm familiar with, in countries that are, I guess, like ours, but that I just have so little connection to the daily struggles. I am so distant from my brothers and sisters in the majority of the world. Alongside that, there's this phenomenon that psychologists called psychic numbing, which is where a single story will compel us to act. But when we hear about atrocities on a grand scale and sort of hear large numbers, we actually just become really apathetic. And we've seen that play out this week. We watched the video of George Floyd being killed in front of us, and we become righteously angry and we want to do something about it. And it is true that the death of a single person is one death too many, that every life matters to God. And we know the horrific truth that there are far too many lives that have been robbed, that have been stolen because of the system of injustice against Black people in America. And yet at the same time, I'm really saddened that the church here in the West so rarely engages at the same level at the injustices and the struggles that take place in our world. And so there's just been this real sense for me that if we are to be Christ's body in the world, then we need to foster that connection to the rest of the body, that we need to place ourselves in positions where we hear those single stories, and that we are compelled to compassion, we are compelled to action, we are compelled to solidarity, and that's just so core to what it means to be Christ's body. That at the very least we should pray, but that in our actions we might be caused to give generously or to advocacy, or I don't know, there must be millions of ways that God is inviting us as the church here to be brothers and sisters with the church in other parts of the world. And so I suppose that's the challenge for me, and it's the challenge that I'm now offering to all of you who are listening to this reflection, is to consider, how can you position yourself? How can I position myself in a place where I hear those single stories that will compel me to compassion, and then compel me to action? So that's what my reflections have been, is that I need to position myself in places where I hear those single stories and I remember my brothers and sisters, and then I do something about it. So hopefully there's some food for thought in there for you too. Ka kite anō.